Chev, we have Dynasty fallers. We did Dynasty risers last week. Now we're going into guys who are falling and maybe some deals that you can get done, how to react in the market. Remember, not all fallers are bad. Some fallers create buying opportunities. Let's start off, though, with Kenneth Walker. Underdog just put out a tweet on Ken Walker. No more than 4 yards per carry in the last 7 games for Ken Walker. If there was ever a week that we would expect a perfect run out for Kenneth Walker, it would be week 1, healthy, ready to go, and full workload. Not the case. Split carries, 12 to 10 in Charbonnet's favor. Zach Charbonnet, more carries. Walker did get 3 of the targets, the only 3 running back targets. Charbonnet did, though, get that goal line touchdown. Both backs rotated close to the goal line. So total touches, Walker 13, Charbonnet 12. Not what you want to see when you have a 5-6 ADP gap differential in the redraft best ball streets, and not what you want to see in Dynasty, where the startup price is even bigger. So it's alarming that Charbonnet is getting more snaps and being preferred, the preferential play in the 2-minute drill. On Dynasty Daddy, we've seen Travis Hunter for Ken Walker 1-for-1. So that's letting it rip and letting it fly. And now you're starting to see package territory. Ken Walker, Chris Godwin, a 26 first, all 4 package up for Drake London. Those are 12-team start 9 format trades. So the 1-for-1 name cachet is not going to work much longer for Ken Walker with Zach Charbonnet coming up. So Dynasty gamers, they're close to right now. If you have Ken Walker holding the bag and having to hold for a while, not permanently, but holding a bag where you feel like, man, I've got a depressed asset. And that is the direction that Ken Walker is going. The problem is Zach Charbonnet is fresh and raring to go. So I don't know how we find those pockets of opportunity unless Zach Charbonnet just happens to miss time, which right now he looks like a bull out there. Chev, what do you think of that?
I've been a Kenneth Walker apologist for quite some time. I'm taking the cautiously optimistic approach. I mean, I don't like what you said about him not averaging over 4 yards a carry in the last 7 games. So the issue though that I have is the fact that I think that this is going to be, it's still, the distribution of carries was still only 12 to 10, although Zach Charbonnet was more effective. But lo and behold, this is what happens when you get guys who play in the preseason. He's had time to figure out the run fits, and the San Francisco defense was much improved against the run after being one of the bottom units in the NFL last year. So I think we've got a perfect combination, a generational buying opportunity if you believe in the talent of Ken Walker. Because if Zach Charbonnet outperforms him next year, guess what? He's going to go be a starter somewhere else. Like, Kenneth Walker's in a contract year. I think he's going to outperform his ADP, and I'm a big fan. I'm still a big fan, even though it didn't look great yesterday. So I am with you. This is definitely, like, his stock price has fallen. I mean, how much further can it fall? Could it be end up being like a stock split? I think so. But if you were smart in the redraft streets and you rostered Zach Charbonnet and Ken Walker, you're feeling pretty good right now, because in 2026 these two guys are going to be on different teams.
I think what's really shocking about it is that with Ken Walker fully healthy, he got the entire run out, and now it's like the toothpaste is out of the tube. Charbonnet did so well last year in that game against the Arizona Cardinals, went completely off. And of course, to your point, Chev, Charbonnet thrived in the preseason. So now we're getting more of that even split share, which is the nightmare for Walker fans. And then Charbonnet fans, it's optimism forward. It's not an ideal setup, but it seems like there could be prosperous weeks for both backs. But based on the price that you paid for Ken Walker, it's real tough. Mark Andrews, Chev, Dynasty faller. Why?
Well, it goes back to a pattern of usage that has followed now from whenever, the moment that they incorporated Derrick Henry into this offense and became maybe the most dynamic backfield of all time. And whenever Derrick Henry is cooking, it creates shorter possessions. He's creating explosive plays and one-play touchdowns, or just completely flipping the field and giving them the ball in the red zone. Zay Flowers put up 143 yards in the touchdown. Mark Andrews, I believe here, I've got it pulled up here. Currently the tight end 44 on the year, only ran 14 routes, one catch for 5 yards. That equated to a 5.3 target share, 5.3% target share. So we're talking about a guy who's only ran 14 routes yesterday. There's no Isaiah Likely. There's no Isaiah Likely. The run game was clicking. Zay Flowers is clearly the more dynamic option with the ball in his hands. Mark Andrews will be a threat, but he is now firmly planted in the efficiency or touchdown or bust category. So for me, I want a little bit more upside, especially with most of the dynasty leagues that I'm being heavy tight end premium. So you get more for more receptions. I mean, at this point, you've got to feel more comfortable playing a guy like Zach Ertz on a week in, week out basis than you would with Mark Andrews.
Zach Ertz finds himself in the end zone, and he's attached to Jaden Daniels. The tough thing with Mark Andrews, you made a great point about the shorter field run out. In the red zone, we see Mark Andrews as an excellent target, but the props were living in the 40s for reception yards. Didn't even come close to that. I may or may not have had the over on those. Got bit by that hard. And Narrative Street, you had mentioned it, Isaiah Likely out. So if there was ever a time to matriculate back up in week one to that top 5 tier status to inspire that confidence, we would have seen it last night in a total that was 50.5, ended up being an 81-point score outing. What an electric football game. And the fact that you couldn't squeeze anything out of that, Chev, I absolutely agree with you. Mark Andrews, it is stock down. It's a very tough scene. And then there's a limited time until the highly regarded through the NFL and by the Baltimore Ravens, Isaiah Likely return. So tough spot. Big ups to Zay Flowers. We've talked about his ADP being inflated, but not after week one. His stock is way up. If you want to get out on Zay Flowers, now's the time to throw up a big block because you're going to attract more than you did just a few days ago. Now, here's one that pains me. Very tough. David Njoku. I hate saying this, but we have to be liquid, have to be fluid. 1 week in, his value is going to crater from what we saw in week one. There's no reason to believe that Harold Fannin Jr. is not going to continue on his run. 9 targets for Harold Fannin Jr. He even had a carry. Who does he think he is? Tyler Warren? And what's tough about this is Njoku had 6 targets, but the bull case all off season, and what I would talk about too, 8.8 targets a game. It's a run out to about 150 targets on a 17-game season. And now you have pushed towards 5 targets, 6 targets, and then it's going to have to require somebody like David Njoku to be hyper efficient. So this is not really what we want to see. We've seen logjam tight end rooms, and mostly Zach Ertz tight end rooms, where the tight end McBride, Dallas Goedert don't come through until the logjam is taken away. It's funny. Normally it's the young guy waiting for the older guy to get out of the way. Now we've got the older guy in David Njoku possibly waiting for himself to get out of the way from a target share perspective and a new opportunity on a different offense. Now we could talk all day we want about, hey, we could run some 12 personnel and be in great shape there, be a leader for the Browns in 12 personnel. But I really don't see that being a bullish case. And I don't see the 2 tight ends thriving enough to make David Njoku worth the hype and warrant. So 1-for-1 value, it's tough to get a return on Njoku. Njoku is just going to have to be the best part of a package deal. Chev, what do you think of what I said about that between Fannin Jr.'s ascendance? I know you're high on him, and Njoku plummeting.
You know, we were Fannin Jr. guys before it was cool to be Fannin Jr. guys. So it's great to see him come out of the gates and get, I believe it was 9 targets.
Yes.
You know, David Njoku, you've been very vocal about, just what his target share represented last year at 8.5 targets a game, pacing out for 149 targets, but clearly a new day is at hand. I just don't really understand. I don't know what this means long term. I don't think that this is going to be a massive change. I was looking up the personnel rates, which is over here on Sumer Sports. The Browns did lead all teams yesterday in rate of 12 personnel. So I do think that they're going to heavily feature both tight ends, but it does kind of take away the appeal of David Njoku with Joe Flacco, being that he was hyper targeted. And basically when Joe Flacco took over for those 5 games in 2023, Yeah, he was the tight. David Njoku was the tight end one. So I'm with you. We're in alignment in the fact that, hey man, this is not this is not what you rolled out, rolled out of bed for and expected when David Njoku, who's going into a contract year, comes out and you're like, hey, this is a great late round tight end call that I could get an easy yield return on investment. But we wake up and now Harold Fannin Jr. is a thing. And as you like to say, I don't think that genie's going back in the bottle. The ketchup isn't going back. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like this is something that's for real. And Harold Fannin Jr. is exactly who he represented himself to be when he finished third in the Biletnikoff voting last year.
And the tough thing too, it makes me think of The Wire, where it's that meme where it's like, hey, but the old days. And he says to him, the thing about the old days is that they're the old days. And that's a problem with David Njoku right now. Those are the old days. What's funny, though, is the prophecy is in alignment for the Brown setup, Joe Flacco. But the plot twist, like any good show, like The Wire, the NFL season, you have Harold Fannin Jr. taking the reins, and you're not going to put that back. That's something that's just going to continue. You want to acquire David Njoku as much as possible. Now, as far as Dynasty, let's hear from the Podfather.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with Superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes picked values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
There you have it from the Podfather. Now let's go over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kaleb Johnson, we were hyped about him all through the process in the rookie pre-draft, draft process, the entirety of the offseason. What's going on with Kaleb Johnson? Why is he, Chev, a Dynasty faller?
Well, this is the most disturbing of my off-season darlings. First we talked about Mark Andrews. Now we're talking about Kaleb Johnson. Kaleb Johnson yesterday played 2 snaps, received 1 carry. Guy had -2 yards. Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell each had 11 and 7 carries respectively. Neither one averaged more than 3.5 yards a carry. I believe Jaylen Warren had 37 yards. 37 yards on 11 carries. Kenneth Gainwell had 7 carries for 19 yards. Kaleb Johnson had 1 carry for -2 yards and played on 2 snaps. So I think that the worst fears of everyone who said Arthur Smith is going to cede control to Aaron Rodgers, I think everybody who said that now is fully realizing their fears actualized. So this is a problem for me. I don't see Aaron Rodgers relenting on having the rookie out there and giving him touches when he trusts these guys to go run routes in Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. He trusts these guys to contribute and be where they're supposed to be. So for me, Kaleb Johnson, even though it is a dynasty play, we're going to see a cratering of his volume because you'll have the people in the back who come out and they say, well, I told you that Kaleb Johnson wasn't a fit for this offense, and now, Jaylen Warren was the best value in all of fantasy drafts. So you're going to have those incels out there saying, victory lap in this thing. I would encourage anyone listening to this right now that can hear my voice to go and send an offer for Kaleb Johnson, a 2026 second and a 2027 third, and get Kaleb Johnson onto your team because I think the talent is too good, and we don't know how much longer Aaron Rodgers or Arthur Smith are going to be involved with the play calling in Pittsburgh. So maybe not this year, or maybe not without an injury, but Kaleb Johnson does make this list because of the disturbing lack of usage yesterday.
Well, it's funny. I put in, for trade gods here, here's the trade. I put one of my league mates in a blender post rookie draft. They came away with Kaleb Johnson. I had Jalen Warren. I had a surplus, and you have to get to a cut down as far as your teams go. I looked at Jalen Warren. I said, you know what? Let me ship him off for a 26th third round pick. And the beauty is, hey, you've got the whole backfield to yourself. The guy instantly accepted it, thinking, hey, I've got Kaleb Johnson. If I'm stuck, Kaleb is out, I'll go with our boy Jalen Warren.
Yeah.
And now he's in this blender. And it was so funny. Yesterday I'm watching Kenneth Gainwell get those carries or be out on the field. And I'm thinking, okay, my opponent from a war value perspective is in a complete blender because he probably started Kaleb Johnson. And now he's going to think, well, I got to go for Jalen Warren. He's going to be the guy. He got the contract. He's getting the carry share. But to your point, 37 yards, 3.4 yards per carry at a clip. Not efficient, not that great at all. Who does he think he is? Javonte Williams? Except Javonte fell into the end zone twice. Funny how narratives are. It's funny how, you fall into the end zone and that can change things. Let's pump the brakes on Javonte Williams there. But Jalen Warren, Kaleb Johnson, I would just say, to tie it up with Kaleb Johnson, to your buying point, Zach Charbonnet, a little callback to what we had earlier in the show. Pre-Charbonnet, when Charbonnet was squandered from college to the Seattle backfield, and it was just like dead zone, just dead value, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have an equidistant price that Zach Charbonnet was just cordoned off to when he was drafted before he's shown this matriculation up in the backfield in Seattle. So you're going to get a depressed price on Kaleb Johnson. Another 1 to 2 weeks. It's a reactionary market. You don't need much. You just need like one more game where it's just curtains, one carry, getting sent to the shadow realm by somebody like Aaron Rodgers. That's just a perfect buying opportunity. So great point, Chev. It's a faller, but it's a good thing for us. These are things that we want to happen. We want to get depressed prices because guess what? People spent back end of round 1 on Kaleb Johnson.
Yes.
So now, to your point, if you can do a lesser price, you're getting an entry point that's beneficial and better than everyone else. Now let's look over another one. This one isn't bad, but it's not good right now. Dynasty faller is Cameron Ward. This is good. It's going to create an easy buying opportunity. We are in the reactionary times. No matter what the format, it could be redraft, dynasty. It is quick because people want to win now. They're discovering, I don't want to do a 4 to 6 year rebuild. I don't want to do even a 3-year rebuild. Like let me look at my portfolio. Let me just go for, a couple beers in and I'm getting the buzz and the dopamine hit of some guy scoring points, right? So Ward gets wrecked, destroyed by the Denver Broncos defense. The timing was off. The receivers weren't doing what they should. All right, just ask his father, right? The pace of the NFL showed to be rich in a lot. And I contend it would do that for anyone against the Denver Broncos defense. Ward barely crested 100 yards passing, less than 50% completion percentage. He gets the Rams next week. I kick the tires and see if you can send somebody like Jared Goff, Jordan Love in the direction for somebody like Cam Ward. I see a bounce back performance. Look for it week 3, home versus the division rival Colts. The Dolphins made the Colts look like the 85 Bears, but I promise you they're not. If you're a contending team, that back half first of the 26 draft class is where I think you can gain value, and somebody may panic sell and want to re-roll on Cam Ward. So if you have what looks to be a back half first, I think you do that all day for somebody like Cam Ward. If you're a front half team where you're not as good, I would park it and hold it there because we've seen the quarterback class, how good they're looking right now. I would be a little bit more cautious if that's a front half first round pick. So week 3 through 6, here's a run out for our dynasty faller in Cam Ward. He gets the Colts, the Texans, the Cardinals, and the Raiders. Not a bad run out, good weather, good situational games where he can bounce back. And you know what? Initiation, baptism by fire. You get the Denver Broncos, you get the Rams, and we get a tremendous buying opportunity. Cam Ward, my last dynasty faller. What do you think of that, Chev?
I love it, man. I love it. I really do. With Cam Ward, I watched almost every snap of this game. I missed an LKO Manor controversial catch where Brian Callahan, the Tennessee Titans head coach, didn't know that one elbow or one knee equals 2 feet, and they didn't challenge it. So we can add a few more completions to the tally. He was let down from a play calling perspective. He was let down from a performance perspective from his teammates. And, he made some rookie mistakes. The rookie mistake being, taking sacks when they were in field goal range. So I'm encouraged. You can see that I have a Tennessee Titans hat and an autographed Corey Davis jersey in the back right there. I'm encouraged by Cam Ward. I'm discouraged by the environment surrounding him. So if you can send a back half first to acquire Cam Ward, you should do this. We're going to continue to add pieces around him and build around him. This organization has been known for failing first round quarterbacks, but I think Cam Ward's mental makeup and the way that he was able to handle pressures, blitzes, and everything with tremendous poise. He was still delivering the ball with the belief of someone is like, hey, I make this throw, we can win the game, all the way up until the end yesterday. So I think Cam Ward is a tremendous buying opportunity, even though his price will be depressed from like the 103 to 105 ADP that he had in Superflex and rookie drafts this past year.
Hey, and there you go. Entry point for you and me and those of you watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and let us know in the comments what you think about that. If you have an opportunity right now. If you flip that back half 26 first, you're getting value on the early price that you paid in this current market 2025 rookie drafts. Now, somebody who's fallen a little bit for you, Chev, maybe it's tied a little bit to Bryce Young. I'd like to see your opinion on that, but you've got Xavier Legette here as a dynasty faller.
Yes. So he had the opportunity yesterday. He played on 77% of the snaps. He ran 28 routes on 47 snaps yesterday. He got 3 targets that only resulted in 3 catches for 10 yards, which is just a disturbing pattern for me of lack of efficiency of usage. Now, Bryce Young was fairly brutal yesterday. The Jaguars were mixing it up and kind of keeping him out of sorts. But beyond that, you're looking at a guy with Xavier Legette. Now, he did have 3 missed tackles forced on those 3, on the 3 receptions yesterday. So that's a positive sign. But this just goes back to a pattern, time over time over time, where he's getting receiving volume in the form of targets, and he's just not performing. So I'm ready. I've said from the time that they turned the card in for Teteroa McMillan that Teteroa McMillan is now the number 1 on this offense, and I believe that Jalen Coker would assume the number 2 role. I wish that I had a bull case to tell you to buy low on Xavier Legette, but if I were you, I would be going and sending trades for Jalen Coker because clearly I don't think Xavier Legette's capable of being the secondary option in this offense. And as soon as Jalen Coker is off of IR, he will assume the secondary duties as a receiver on this team.
And something about Xavier Legette, and these are tricky players because at their ceiling, they can be phenomenal. Somebody like Xavier Worthy, Jamison Williams. I'm talking about reverse line correlation plays when you're betting weekly. And follow me here. You have the over on the receiving yards, but you take the under on the receptions. So the receptions may be 4.5 and they hit under, they hit the 4, 3.5 and they hit the 3. But their yardage total, they can boom bust and hit over because they're such a weapon. Xavier Legette is a very, very cheaper version of that. But stylistically and talent-wise, he's never going to level up to Jamison Williams and Xavier Worthy. So the problem is you're not getting the volume in the past with Xavier Legette. And he's one of those players who really has to hit big on 1 or 2 plays to make his mark on your fantasy team. Now, you alluded to and showed out, Chev, Xavier Legette gets the volume and he's not doing anything with it. We'll see how this continues, but I would venture to guess, along what you had said, is that he can get these 6, 7, 8 targets and the volume can be there. And I think that what's going to happen is it'll expose the fact that Xavier Legette is just not going to be that dude. Stylistically, we may like his profile as fit, but there's certain players who, and it's okay, you plateau at the college level and you're better than anybody who's in the parking lot of the stadium tailgating. But at the same time, there are certain levels to these games, and I think you're spot on with Xavier Legette as a dynasty faller.
I appreciate that. I was really high on him in the pre-draft process, and it just hasn't panned out. So yeah, I just want to caution everybody to don't stay on the ride if you don't have to.
And even don't even wait for some big bump that you think is going to be there, because Xavier Legette is somebody who is not going to get week over week production. And even when he does show some production, let's say he has a spike week, Dynasty gamers have gotten very savvy. They're not just going to bite at an increased price that you try and dangle out there. So like self-defense, get away, run away right away, get what you can. It's not a matter of trying to find a spike, because this is what we call catching a falling knife. It's just going to keep falling. And you say, well, should I have sold today if I could have? And then the price is going to be even worse. And you're going to just feel like your pockets are just wide open and the change is falling out on the floor on you. Chev, Coach, this has been Trade Gods. We will see you next week.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.